Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. MC-Mura here, and in today's video I wanted to talk about meter management and how you can best use your meter, because this is a very important aspect of the game and one that I feel is quite often overlooked. Typically when players are using their meter, they are using it in ways to enhance their abilities. One of the most common one is simply adding more damage. This, for example, is a typical Cody combo, doing 245 damage. However, if you use an EX bar, you did almost 300 damage, so that's about 50 more damage, and you got a bit more corner carry as well. So this is one of the main uses. You add more damage to your combos, and that is perfectly valid. However, you also have to consider that meter almost often equals options. When you have meter, this unlocks new options that you can use in the matchup. For example, one of the most commonly used options for Cody is EX Zonk, right? EX Zonk is fantastic. However, before spending your bar on EX Zonk, you have to consider, is it really a smart idea in this matchup? Let's say that you are fighting against Guile. More often than not, Guile is gonna be throwing booms, right? So you are likely to run into booms. You are likely to run into jabs, like you just seen. So maybe EX Zonk is not that amazing here. Maybe Guile is even blocking. And let's say Guile is blocking, right? He blocks and he just V reversals. And what happened here is that I traded one of my EX bars for one part of Guile's V gauge. And remember, Guile does not need V trigger to beat Cody. So this really isn't that good of a trade in my opinion, right? You're pretty much wasted your EX bar. So then you have to consider, alright, what other options does my gauge allows me to do? And one of the better ones is the EX Tornado Sweep, right? It's a 3-hitting projectile. It will allow you to close the distance. Let's have here a Guile doing the boom again, right? Now you get to close the distance to Guile and you moved a little bit closer, so that is really nice. Even if he's blocking or something, you still got to close the distance to Guile. So the EX Tornado Sweep is actually a good way to use your meter. Another one is, for example, Super. And you have to really consider what options Super give you. For example, a lot of times Cody and Guile will fight from this range, right? Guile have really good normals, but Cody also have some decent normals from this dash distance. One of his best ones is the standing medium kick, right? And standing medium kick is fantastic for Cody. If Cody have this range and you can just use one standing medium kick, link into Super, and this is a pretty good conversion. Now you actually got to do a little bit more damage from a poke, right? This allowed you a new way to fight Guile. It opened a new threat that Guile have to worry about. So that is a very good way of using your bar. Another one is, say Guile is doing his same recording we just showed. You simply use your bar to punish the sonic booms. And yeah, Cody struggled from this distance, but with the Super on deck, Guile have to worry about throwing booms, right? So you have to think about it. Do I need to just add more damage to my combos, or do I want to close the distance? Do I just want to use an EX Zonk and make Guile waste his V trigger, or do I want to use my EX Tornado Sweep to close the distance, right? These are the kind of choices that you have to think about when you want to spend your meter. Now let's take a look at another matchup and another series of examples where you can use your meter in better ways than just getting bigger combos. Here we are looking at Poison versus G. And like I said earlier, typically the meter means more options. This could also come in form of new punishes. Let's say that G is gonna use his Light Punch Fireball in the first Presidentiality level. As you can see, this is minus 11, right? But typically Poison does not get a punish. You can try the Avant line, it doesn't reach and it isn't fast enough. The rates isn't fast enough. You can even do the medium EX rate, but again, not fast enough. However, a super is fast enough to get a punish. So just having the critical art opened a new way to punish G, right? Previously I had no answer to his fireball on block, but now I do. Obviously you can still use it to just bypass his fireballs like that in the neutral, so it doesn't even have to be like a block punish, but it opened a new block punish, and this is significant. Another important way to use your meter is what I would like to call positional advantage. Positional advantage is your position on the screen, and in this matchup, Poison versus G, your position in the screen is extremely useful and extremely important. Let's say that Poison got G in the corner, right? And you managed to land a jumping combo, right? A Poison player may do something like this, and then cancel into super. One of the things about Poison's critical art is that it will always reset back to the neutral. It will always bring you back to mid-screen. Many of the cinematic supers does this. They return you back to a specific point on the screen. And in the example I just showed, this is awful, because we pretty much got G out of the corner. He still does not die from one hit, so it is pretty bad. In a situation like this, you're better off doing a combo into OK that will sustain your pressure. So maybe something like this. Maybe then you get a shimmy, and that's how you kill G. You pretty much sustained your corner advantage. On the other hand, and applying the same concept, let's say that Poison is the one who's in the corner. When G gets you to the corner, it's very scary. You cannot walk back out of his command grab. It's very hard to jump over him, etc, etc, etc. It's obviously well documented how scary G is once he gets you cornered. Let's say that G is gonna do a sequence like that, right? You can get an interruption like this with Poison, and typically you can do something like this. It's not a bad idea. However, it's also not a bad idea to actually cancel into super here, right? Because when you do, you pretty much reset the neutral, and now you are out of the corner. So you can use it to escape the corner, but you don't want to use it if G is the one who's in the corner, right? You want to keep your opponent in the corner and escape the corner yourself. Now, another use of V gauge, or another use of the EX bar, and this one is actually very, very important and very significant, is using it to deny your opponent their comeback factor. Let's say that G is at 25% health, right? And I am Poison. G have an incredibly volatile V trigger. He can come back on me with his V trigger, right? It's well documented. So my option, or my successful train of thought with Poison here would be, you know what? Let us force him to spend that V gauge. So I will use the heart rate special. And again, heart rate. Pretty much what I'm doing here is that I am, enforcing my plus frames. I am sustaining my advantage. I want G to V reversal. I want this to happen. Let's say now G's gonna V reversal. I want him to V reversal because now he does not get to activate his V trigger and come back on me, and obviously this is a very good way of using your bar. So you have to really think about it. It's a lot more detailed than just using it for more damage, knockdown or whatever. A lot of options and a lot of matchup specific tools that you really have to consider on how you can spend your V gauge. If you have enjoyed this video, please leave a like or a comment. It helps the channel so much. I will be leaving a link to the Patreon page and the Discord server page in the description below. Thank you very much for watching and stay safe.